Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gamer Social Club weekly news podcast. We are recording on the 22nd of May, 2025. It's another late evening here in the UK. And of course, I'm your host, as always, Harry, aka Knavish Crayfish. And we've got another trio for you this week. Mark is out on holiday. And again, we look forward to seeing him back. But of course, we hope he enjoys his rest and relaxation with the family. But with me, again, as always, is I'm trying to remember. Oh, that's it. Sorry, I completely forgot it, and then I remembered it. The no empathy, only daggers, Lady V. How are you, V? It's been such a long time. It's been a while since I had to say that. So yeah, it took me a moment to remember what order it goes in. I apologize. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. Don't worry about it. I thought you just forgotten Addy's name, which I thought would be quite embarrassing. So, but no, I'm good.
He'd been thinking of a really good insult, and then he made himself laugh because he was about to say it. And that's what I thought it was.
No, I wish. Unfortunately, no, I'm not that quick. Sadly, I was like, oh, well, I'll introduce V. Wait a minute, how do I introduce V? V's got an intro. Everyone else, I'm kind of wing it. But V's actually got one. Yes, and the other voice you heard there, of course, is Adam, aka Oh No, Not Addy. How are you doing, my friend?
Yes, very well, thank you. Good to see you all. Chat games and what's not. Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop, indeed.
So
yeah.
For a while, actually.
Oh, yes.
You know what? I'm going to get every listener just to pause this and go, whoop, whoop, and then you'll feel much better. Whatever you're doing. Okay, if you're cooking tea, going to church, why are you listening to this in church? Or whatever else, just go, whoop, whoop. Jobs are good.
There goes a bit of audience participation there from our resident thespian.
He's not at rehearsal tonight.
But yes, of course, this is the Gamer Social Club weekly news podcast, and we are members of the Gamer Social Club website, www.gamersocialclub.ca. We are a website covering all things gaming, from news, reviews, previews, editorials, guides, and interviews, and anything else we can generally think of, really. We recommend you go over there and check out all our work. We do news every single day, and we've, again, had another very busy week, a whole bunch of guides, lots of news, a lot of smaller stories that we try our best to get to, but there's only so many of us available at any given time. I guess the three main things you need to know about us as a site are that we are an independent grassroots site. We all are here sort of, driven by our own passion for gaming and wanting to share that with the rest of you. Next up would be the fact that we only talk about the news. We don't run any sort of rumor mill nonsense. So anything you hear from us or see from us, you can kind of, feel confident that it's at least accurate to the time of reporting. We do our best to also update everything that we cover to the best of our ability. But yeah, you could be sure that we're not going looking for just, the random tweets or posts somewhere that, supposedly something's happening. We don't delve into all that nonsense. What was the third pillar? I always forget one of the pillars. What was it? I said all three before we started.
You're gonna have to rely on Addy for this one. I don't listen to people. That's part of the no empathy thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh no, no, no! It's not whoop whoop. That can be the fourth pillar. The official fourth pillar can be whoop whoop. No, the third pillar is, of course, that we finish every game that we review. That is something that we do here. So yes, if you're looking at any of our reviews, you can know that we have at least seen the end. We've seen the credits of that game, if it has them. That to view at the end of the main story or campaign or whatever it might be. So yeah, that's what you need to know about the site. Of course, this is our weekly podcast. Thank you for finding us. Thank you for joining us again. If you are enjoying this sort of content, if you enjoy the video, please leave a like, and any questions or feedback you have for us, leave in the comments below. If you are new here and you enjoy the video and would like to see more of this, please consider subscribing to our channel. We only put up little bits of content here and there. We also have our separate guides channel under Gamer Social Club Guides, which you can also follow as well for any of our video guide material. And yeah, we are also on Discord and have our own Discord channel, which you can join and hang out with us and chat with us about things. We try and have a pretty sort of easygoing sort of atmosphere there. It's pretty chilled, but we're always open to chatting about stuff, what we're excited about. Lots of channels to share photos in, or talk about things we're excited about, or chat about the news, or even unrelated things to gaming. We're very, very open to just having as many people who want to be there as possible. But yeah, and of course you can follow us on all the social media channels that are available. We've got Twitter, where we are @gamer_S_C, and then we're on Threads and Blue Sky at Gamer Social Club. And of course, we have our Facebook page and all manner of things as well. And all of this that we've just said, along with our individual socials, as Addy's been pointing throughout the segment for me, will be in the description below, along with anything that we referenced today as far as our articles, or anything that we feel like it might be worth your attention, something from another site perhaps, or just a page worth highlighting, or another creator or something like that, who knows. But yeah, that is, as I say, the rigmarole out the way, and we will lead into our first section as always, which is what have we been playing. I think to kick us off with this one, we should have Lady V, because you weren't here for the last episode, and of course you've been very busy. If anyone's already been to the site, they will see that you've been busy playing a game called Blades of Fire for review, if I remember correctly.
Yes. So it's the new game from Mercury Steam, the team that co-developed Metroid Dread. But it's very, very different. So no 2D here. It's a 3D action adventure game. I think a lot of people online have sort of compared it a bit to a Souls-like, just in the fact that it's very difficult, but there's not a lot of sort of Souls DNA in there. For one, there's no leveling up system, so you can't have builds or anything like that in the game. The whole point of it is that you have to forge new weapons, and use those weapons to then overcome a whole host of weird and wonderful enemies. But the forging system is like the main thing of it. So they've sort of taken weapon degradation as a concept and just made an entire game around it, which sounds weird because I, for one, I'm not really a fan of weapon degradation, but the way that they've implemented it is very fun. So because you forge all of your new weapons, there's never really a time where you're like, oh, I'm going to run out of weapons. If you can get to in a particularly difficult spot sometimes where all of your weapons are looking pretty ropey, and if you're in a boss fight and it's taking you a couple of attempts, they may break. But whenever you go back to the checkpointing system, which is like an anvil, you can then just go to the forge and forge like a whole host of new weapons to have as a backup. So you and you can pause the game, you can go into your equipment at any time and just bring new weapons out. So there's not just not a huge amount of Souls there. I don't know if maybe it's just because the combat's a bit more methodical to it that people are talking about it, or just because it's difficult. But it is fully directional combat as well, which was fun. So it's each of the 4 face buttons is a direction of attack. So at the start of the game, you will be dealing with enemies that have specific types of weaknesses based on their armor type. And it'll apply to their entire body. So they'll come up like green, amber, or red based on what weapon type you're using, what damage type. But later on in the game, you'll have ones that are only weak to certain types of damage on like one of their limbs. You have to attack in the right direction, or else your sword or your great hammer or your daggers or your polearm or all of the multiple weapons that you can forge in it will just bounce off and you will do virtually no damage to them. But yeah, it was super fun. The story's like pretty meh. It's not really the main draw. There was some moments where just something would happen and then it was like, oh, so we're going to go and do this. And I was like, what are you talking about? Is this been brought up before? Like, who is this man? Like, it's not too far into the game, so it's not like a massive spoiler, but you start off in an area called Assidious's domain with lots of little different bits to it. And at a certain point, it's just like, oh, we have to go and kill this guy. And I was like, oh yeah, I thought we were going to kill the queen. Who is this man? Like, this man has never been brought up. And it's like, oh, what he's been doing is terrible. And I was like, what has he been doing? I don't understand. But it wasn't. It was a fun little story. Nothing massively amazing to it. But yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it. I liked the directional combat once I got used to not pressing the B button to dodge. I died about 40 times in the first area because I just kept spamming B for dodges on RB. No, LB. But the dodging's also directional. So you have to dodge at the right time, but in the right direction, or you'll still take damage as well. So again, nothing like Dark Souls. You have to double hit the dodge button in order to roll as well. And to get your stamina back, you have to guard. So if you guard, your stamina recharges really quickly. But you also have like a stability meter. There's a lot of systems actually. Now that I think about it, there's a lot of systems going on. So yeah, if you take a hit while you're guarding, your stamina doesn't go down too much, but your stability does, and then people can knock you out of your stance. And there is parrying, but I didn't use it very often because it's not necessarily clear what the timing is on it, and you don't get a riposte or anything from it. It just negates all damage. So your mileage may vary based on your skill level. But I liked it. It was a good bit of fun. I actually really enjoyed the blacksmithing mechanic. It's quite in depth. Like you have to move your hammer and stuff like that around in order to get the steel into a specific shape for whatever weapon you're forging. And if you do it well enough, then you get more repairs on your weapon. So you can repair a weapon up to like 6 times. So if you've got a weapon that you really like, that you want to use in a particular boss fight or something like that, you can make sure it's got enough repairs as humanly possible so that you don't have to get rid of it very quickly. But yeah, it was good.
So
I'd like to see more games with unique mechanics like that.
Yeah, so with the forging mechanic, is it the sort of thing where like you go through stages and you then only kind of there's like a final confirmation for like this is the weapon you're going to make and you see like the stats it's going to have, or is it kind of just like you go through the steps and as you do it, it's like you've done that now, there's no going back and trying again?
Yeah, so when you are building your weapon, so you draw out what the weapon's going to look like on the sort of stone tablet, and then you can select different materials. I will be writing a guide about forging the weapons because it is quite in depth. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. So it'll be up before the weekend for people who want to jump in over the weekend. But yeah, you can change so many different aspects of each weapon. So you can change like the shape of the blade, or the like what type of pommel it has, if it's a sword or anything like that. And then so as you change those, that'll affect the weapon's stats. So like the slashing damage or the parrying window or how much stamina you get while you're wielding the weapon. But you can also then use different materials. So as you go through the game, you unlock different types of steel and different types of wood. So then you can change the material you're making the standard blade out of, but also the edge of the blade and like the tip. So they all have slightly different attributes to them. And it'll come up as you're modifying all of these things in the first select bit. It'll show you like the overall damage of the weapon and all of the weapon stats. But once you confirm that, it'll come up, are you okay making this weapon in this way? This is the materials you're going to lose. Once you confirm that, then that's set in stone. So if you then forge it badly, even though you've made a really good weapon, you might have something with amazing stats, but only 2 repairs.
So those two elements are separated by that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so the forging mechanic, once you start working the steel, as it were, that only affects your repair stars. So if you max out the amount of repair stars you can use, but you still have lots of hits left, because you only get a certain amount of times you can like work the steel, then the weapon crafting will just end because you've got max repairs. It won't let you go back from that. So you don't need to worry. It's like if you make it really well, then you're not going to lose stuff. But yeah, so the first part is like going through all the stats and stuff like that. And then you confirm it, and then you work the steel, and you get all your repairs. The good thing is that once you've made a weapon, so you have to kill a certain amount of enemies in order to unlock blueprints and to make the weapons. or you get forged scrolls. So I'm pretty partial to the twin axes. I've just it took a long time to unlock the first set of daggers, or else it would be the daggers, obviously. But I was pretty partial to the twin axes because they're quite fast. You got a lot of stamina on it, and the flamberge. But once you have made one weapon once, it doesn't matter if you change like the type of blade or anything like that on it. You can still then when you forge it, it'll be like, do you want to use the forge memory to just max out the stars? So you don't have to individually forge each weapon every single time.
Oh,
Like
that's
if
nice.
you've made a 5-star flamberge once, even if you modify it slightly, it will still be like, do you still want a 5-star flamberge? And you're like, well, yes, I don't want a 4-star one, obviously. So, but yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. But I feel like you could probably get really, really in depth into micromanaging the stats of the weapons. But I was
Yeah.
just like, I was just messing about with the types of steel, and I was like, oh, damage number go up. That one. Like,
Yep.
Half of
it was
the
like
design
everything
for
else
them.
being absolutely wrecked, like durability, stability, stamina cost. I'm like, yeah, but big number go up. That's what I want. Like,
Big number go. I get one swing before it breaks, but I kill that motherfucker.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's it. Yeah,
But
just
you
carry
can
a
like,
dozen swords, just all one hit.
yeah, you can sharpen them as well, so they sort of degrade over time when you're playing with when you're fighting. So there's a sharpening mechanic, but that removes like overall durability of the weapon. So you have to sharpen them to keep them effective, and then you can see whether or not like bits of it might be close to breaking, and then you just have to sort of manage that. But I didn't find it too like I don't think any of my weapons broke at a really inopportune time or anything like that. There was some optional bosses. I believe they were optional. The level design's not great, so I thought they were not optional when I was fighting them, and then found out later that they were an absolute arse. Um, and they are only weak to like pierce damage, which it seems very slow to do on a lot of the weapons. But also the tip of the weapon is the thing that sort of degrades the fastest. So you're like doing that, and then if your weapon starts to degrade to a certain point, it'll do reduced damage. So you're like running away, and I'm like, fucking sharpen this, run back in, and be like, just poke it in the face once, and then run away again.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if you were better at the game, that would be less of an issue. Like,
I'm surprised that the level design isn't great, given Metroid Dread. I didn't realize that they'd done Metroid Dread, and that is a spectacular game. But like, obviously, the level design I thought was really good in that. But that's obviously the whole point of Metroid. But do you think they tried to recreate that in a 3D where they had like loads of interconnected things that you come back to, and you go, oh, I've got to remember to do that, and it doesn't work in the same way?
yes, there's a lot of shortcuts that you can open that loop you back around into areas, but then you're like back in the area and you're like, wait, what is the point of me being here? There's no, because the checkpointing generally is pretty good. Like the anvils are well placed, so you will unlock a new anvil for like a new bit of an area, and then be exploring, and then unlock a shortcut that takes you back to a previous one. And I'm like, but I already have one here. Like, there's no point of this. Like,
Yeah.
and there is a lot of secrets and like collectibles to upgrade your health and your stamina, and you can permanently upgrade the amount of stars that you can get for each weapon. But at a certain point, I sort of stopped trying to explore too much. There is maybe a little bit of an issue with volume of enemies in some areas. So it's just like I don't even know what's down there, and I don't understand why I need to run around and get it. And there's a big fucker, and I can't be arsed, so I'm just going to go somewhere else. Like, I'm going to try and follow the main path rather than there's I mentioned it in my review, so it's not really a spoiler, but there's like the third main area is like a keep, and once you get to the certain point of it, it's also like maybe would be considered like a mini escort mission. There's like a little character that you have to take through the second half of it. But yeah, once you get to the second half of it, it like cuts. You unlock a shortcut to go back to the front half, and I was like, oh, that must be the how to get to the exit, and it's just absolutely not. So you're just back in the front half, and there's so many enemies, but also has a roaming boss. So like that anytime you kill it, after a little while, it like respawn and he like teleports towards you.
Oh god.
So at a certain point, I was just like, I have no idea where I'm going. Like I'd been sort of trying to Dark Souls 1 it a bit and like systematically cut through these enemies to try and not get overwhelmed. And then towards the end, I was just like, I have no fucking idea where I'm going. So I was just sprinting through the level, hoping not to die. And just so happened to get to the end of it, there's like a rope on a staircase that you have to climb up. And then there's an anvil, and then you like jump through another bit of the wall. And then that's the only way to get to progress. And I was like, oh wow, that's so easy to miss. Like I was there for ages, just like, where am I going? What am I doing? What is going on? Like if you die while you're escorting the little person that you have to escort through it, they get captured and then you have to go and find them. And I was like,
okay.
like what is going on here? Like so yeah, the level design is odd, to say the least.
Yeah, it sort of sounds like the systems in the game are pretty impressive though. Like like from your description of like the forging obviously, but then like they're describing the NPC kind of escort side of things. Like I like that how it's not just like a, oh, game over, they've been killed sort of thing. It's like a, no, they've been taken away, you just gotta fight. It's like how you in some of these sort of Souls games, how like the enemy that kills you will like will hold your the currency that you leave, as opposed to it being like dropped somewhere that you can go find it just like on the floor. It's like, oh no, you have to kill that enemy to get it back. I quite like that, sort of like a revenge kind of like mechanic there, which is kind of cool. But yeah, like I guess I can also maybe see the comparisons to like Dark Souls or like Souls like games in the, not saying that, again, picking words carefully here, some of like the level design of those games can be quite kind of intricate and like layered, but to your point, they do that because there's reason for you to go back to those places again. Often they're interwoven with each other because they are hard to navigate completely from the beginning. Like you can only access certain areas, and then you'll get to other areas from a different direction via a different location. So you'll end up back at somewhere like Firelink Shrine, but it's always a case of like, oh, thank God I found my way back here. Like this works perfectly because I did find another bonfire, but it's on the other side of that area, and I've managed to cross it now, open the door, which has led me back to here now. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Now I don't have to do the long journey to get back into that area. I can do the short one. That makes sense. But as it sounds like for you, it's because the game is more linear in its structure, I'm guessing. It's sort of like,
it's much more Dark Souls 3 than Dark Souls 1. So the areas don't loop back into different areas. So it's just like bits of the same area. I will say I will be playing through it again because there were some achievement issues, but also this is probably a minor spoiler. I'm not going to say anything that happens, but that particular bit where you're escorting the NPC, you technically don't have to go and save them.
Oh, interesting.
So it allows you to just sort of like abandon them if you want. I didn't, so I can't tell you what happens if you do it. But you don't have to. You can just leave. So.
Well, that would be interesting to find out, wouldn't it? I mean, do you think you'll try that this time around?
I don't know. The NPC was kind of cute, so like, it's like it's like a little child that you carry about on your back. So I feel like I would feel too bad to abandon this small child, like
this is
in a place full of monsters.
This is the classic meme of video games make people violent, and then here's me picking all the nice options in the dialogue because I don't want to upset the NPC.
Yeah, it's like I'm not abandoning a small child. Like I'm not that bad. Like
yeah, fair. I would do the same.
I love the opposite of that meme though, where like you're walking past an NPC and they say something smarmy at you, and then he just sees you quick save.
If you didn't punch the reporter all 3 times in Mass Effect, I don't know what you're doing, to be perfectly honest. Like every single time that woman got clocked right in the face. Like, no quick save necessary. I didn't save and then reload it. Just canon through all of my playthroughs. Yeah. She always gets punched in the face, and then the guy in Mass Effect 2 that's like, what are you going to do about it, while standing in front of a plate glass window at the top of a tower, always get renegade interrupted, booted full force out that window, and I've never felt bad. Like
fair play. Go with your instincts. But obviously, yeah, I guess people can check out your review for Blades of Fire up on the site, and you're going to have a guide or two maybe come out for it, at least one for the crafting, the forging side of stuff. It sounds like.
Yeah, we will have a beginner's guide that'll talk a little bit about the combat and some of the other systems that are in place, because there's a few little niche combat systems like mutilations and things you can do for certain enemies. And then we will have a forging guide. So if I know that you were maybe thinking about picking it up, Addy, so you can have a look.
I had a quick go on the demo, and I really liked what the bits I dabble with, and the thing you said about the level stuff, because the first kind of main area where there's like that bar, and then I opened the door, and then I opened the door next to it, and it led to the same place, and there's another door behind. Like, I don't think there needed to be 3 doors there. And
No.
just like it just felt like it maybe over involved. Like, yeah, it's cool. There was 2 doors, so I could open them both. Fair enough, realistic, but not necessary. But no, I really like what I played of it. It was I died a lot, but I got the feel for it, and then I came across like a big water monster, and it ate me, and then I found a big scary blue ghost, and it's disappeared. Like, what's going on? There's 6 guys murdered me. I was like, oh, this is an experience.
This is a video game.
But I will be getting it, and the fact that it's it felt really good to play, but it's quite on the cheaper end as well. I think it's like 45 quid. So it feels like, and I think I've seen them on Twitter and stuff, and they're quite like, they feel really genuine as a developer and team and stuff like that, and like listening to feedback and I think there's a real care for what they do, and I really like that. So it's nice to support them.
Yeah. And it was incredibly stable. Like, I've got to say, like, I didn't run into any bugs in my entire playthrough. And it looks great. It does look great as well. So I think it ran really well on my Series X, which is where I played it. So I think, as you say, smaller dev, cheaper game. It's got a huge amount of content. It's only like, it's about 40 to 50 hours long, main story sort of thing. So, you're really getting a lot for your money. But yeah, just ignore some of the questionable level design. If in doubt, there is a sprint button and it doesn't use stamina, so you can just bolt. Like,
that's I like that.
Yeah, run away, definitely. Like what is run away. Like
Excellent. Well then, let's go on to you then, Addy. What have you been up to? I know obviously you've sort of wrapped up finally, I think, Spirit of the North 2. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think every time I think they pull me back in. I had quite a successful week with Spirit of the North 2, because I was talking last time about, have I got the collectibles or will I get them done? I found them all. I found those bastard scrolls. Found all of them, all 89. And then the achievement pop, because that was the other thing. If I got them all in achievement pop, that would have flipped a table. It would have been like, only a small, the kids sit at. I'm not about to flip my actual dining table. That would be crazy. But no, I got all of the achievements.
I feel like your wife would be annoyed if you did.
Yeah, well, more than annoyed. Like,
impressed.
Yeah, she's not strong. Heavy table. I'm not even moving that. I managed to get all the achievements. I managed to mop up stuff. I found out randomly, like, there's one of the achievements it's about finding a traveling trader. There's this trader that sells light essence. So your spirit fox dude has got like blue glowy bits on him, like these roots and stuff. But you can get a guy who like changes your color for like some customization stuff. Like, oh, that's fancy. But turns out, you never told this. Turns out he's only available on a Saturday, and his location changes every week, and it's only for 24 hours, and he disappears again, and he comes back later. That's literally what they meant by traveling trader.
It's like a farmer's market. Like
yeah. And it's this little raccoon with this really fancy hat and a big purple staff who rides on the back of a turtle, and he just meanders around selling different colors every week. So I finally found him. It was just by chance, because I was on Twitter and it came up saying, "Have you found the trader? He's somewhere about. Join the Discord to join the search." Like, what? So I joined the Discord, and then I found out, like, yeah, you got to go find him. So like, okay, right, that's a thing that they don't tell you anywhere. So like, if you were playing the game and you weren't online, like apart from like you weren't looking for social media, you'd never know. You might happened upon him one day by chance because you were playing on a Saturday. I'm like, fair enough, but what?
Yeah, does seem a bit extreme.
Yeah, but then I found the things, and thankfully I've been prepared enough to capture all of the locations of all of the bloody scrolls, because then I managed to do in one day all the guides for the scrolls in one go. So you could now find every collectible for the game, which I'm quite happy about because it feels very well done from my perspective, and I'm happy with them. And I thought, right, I've done 27 articles on this freaking game. I've done 20 that include review and then all the guides, which is people have really liked, I think, which is great. And but like every time I think I'm done, somebody goes, "Oh, this is great, thanks so much. Will you be doing one for this?" I'm like, no, I'm not going to be doing one, but like, just when I thought about it, they pull me back in.
Just uninstall it, Andy. Just uninstall it from your Xbox. Like,
well, I can't. I don't. I might do. There's two left that I could do, I think, and I might do them. I do have the captures of them, but it's whether I can be bothered. Like, I do want to play other games.
You want to play Blades of Fire, so you can get annoyed at the forging system. Like,
I should have been starting Zombie Army VR, but it got delayed, so it's going to be next month, hopefully. So we'll see. I have started Clair Obscur 33 Expedition, even with Harry's spoilers.
There we go.
I really enjoyed it. But the prologue didn't hit as hard as it should have done, but that's Harry's fault. But really enjoying it so far. I've killed all the mimes so far, which is very satisfying actually. And they're little bastards.
Good fights. They're good fun. I really enjoyed them.
But I'm really enjoying it. Like, just like exploring and discovering all of the hidden stuff and the quests, the characters, the design, the music, all of it is just amazing stuff. And I don't know. I couldn't say how far I am through it, but I'm in Act 1, in the middle of Act 1. I'm exploring the world. I've gone to the ancient village. I've done that, and I'm just exploring. I'm going wherever's next. But yeah, lots of fun. Really enjoying it. Love the combat. Very cool. Very satisfying to get those high numbers and some challenging fights so far. But I don't like if a fight beats me and like you should come back, you're like, I'm not gonna remember that you were here, so I'm gonna keep fighting you until I've killed you. And to your point earlier about the parrying in Blades of Fire, I suck at parrying. Like the dodging I'm a bit better at, but the parrying, I don't know why. Any game where there's parrying, that's why I haven't done Sekiro yet, because I know I'm gonna suck at that. But yeah, no, so really enjoyed that. And what did I start? I had a quick go on Monster Train 2 because that dropped on Game Pass yesterday. I didn't play like millions of hours of Monster Train 1, but I haven't seen what the difference is between the two yet. It feels very much the same, but I'm only a couple of battles in so far, so we will see. I know that I know who reviewed it.
Candy.
Candy give it like a 9.5, so it was like excellent. So like
it's gotten rave reviews. Yeah. So yeah, I wasn't aware of it myself. I wasn't aware of it.
Well, I played the first one. It's really good. It's really well built. So definitely.
It's like my second favorite card builder roguelike since I think Slay the Spire. I would say. Yeah, because it's got. I mean, I do love Balatro, but it's got a huge amount of more depth to it than I would say Balatro does, just in terms of unlocking all the different factions and stuff like that. But it's a great deck building roguelike. Highly recommend.
So yeah, a bit like that. What I will say about Spirit of the North, because I know I did, I did enjoy a lot of it, but there was a lot of issues with it, and the fair play to the team because they have been patching it. There's been several patches since it's come out, and they keep trying to make improvements to it and stuff. And a shout out to the Discord as well. The people there were really lovely, and there's some beta testers in there who really just helping out people. And apparently they're working on some DLC and some other stuff for the game. And because we found this door, there's quite a few of us in the Discord that found this door. I'm like, do now open this because I cannot figure it out. I'm like, oh no, that's a tease from the devs, like it's coming at some future point. Like, what? Like that bloody key in Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie. oh, Lucas coming back. Lying bastards. Where's the third one? So yeah, no, that's what I've been playing. Mopping up that nonsense, and starting some new things.
Indeed, yes. Well, yeah, glad to hear that you're sort of at the end of the tunnel then, or at least near enough to the end of the tunnel. We're
Nearly
still
out,
the North. Huh?
nearly out of the foxhole.
Ah, very good. And yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying Expedition 33. I knew you would be. And yeah, look, parrying's tough in that game, definitely. But at the same time, I love it because it's immediately rewarding as well, I find. In a way that I think a lot of other games, you can get your parries off, but you won't always necessarily get, the riposte, or like Sekiro asks a lot of you when it comes to its parrying. It's like you have to parry a lot in order to then get your reward. Whilst I think Expedition 33 is a little bit more lenient on the combo is only 2 to 3 hits and it's the same combo every time, or like more often than not, it's only between 2 or 3 different combos from an enemy. Learn the combos, learn the patterns. You start destroying enemies a lot, which is great. And when you're using the dodge, it's handy to keep an eye on what it says when you dodge, because if it says perfect, that's the timing of when you should be parrying. So yeah, it helps. It tries to teach you as well, which is nice.
Yeah,
Other methods.
I did find it quite like when because you like trying to I don't want to get hit or to hit the damage or something like that, and you start panicking because the first time it does the move, you're like press. I think that's it. No, that's it. No, then you get hit every time. You're like, I'm crying out loud.
I think everyone's footage of the first time you fight Mael in the prologue when you're on the pier and she's like, "Oh, let's do like a little duel." I think everyone's footage is this: whenever she's attacking, is just them like constantly dodging at like the wrong time, or like constantly parrying like this, and just always getting hit by her because no one knows the timing or how the game works yet. So yeah, I've enjoyed watching people just being like, "What the hell?" Just like panicking and just watching them just constantly blocking. Yeah,
incredible. The team of that size made this game, I think, because from just like the attention to detail and the graphics and the whole shebang, everything about it. I'm only 5 or 6 hours in or whatever so far, but all of it so far has just been mind blowing. Like, well done to them.
I'd really like at least us four on here, because I know Mark's been playing it as well, and I know you are as well, of course. I'd love it if once we've all finished it, we could do like a separate like deep dive into it as a game. It's a special game. I think it's certainly one of my favorites, like without a doubt. Now it's in my sort of top 5, top 6. And yeah, I think there's so much to go into. Like lots of people are already talking about it and have already done this sort of thing. But yeah, I would love to hear everyone's thoughts on it at the end. I very much feel very strongly about it one way, but you guys might feel differently about the ending. You might feel differently about the combat as you carry on, or exploration. Who knows? So I think it'd be really, really cool to take some time out to have a more sort of deep and sort of drawn out discussion about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think an ending can, like a story-based game, especially, a really well-built story. Because like the Atomfall story, I said it didn't land it really, but it didn't really matter. Like something like this, if you don't stick the landing with the story, it can blow it, the whole thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I gotta get the impression that's the case, but
yeah. If we get time to finish it anytime soon, with how busy the site is
considered, yeah.
Because like me, Addy, and Mark will be picking up Night Rain when it comes out. Like so,
yeah. Oh yeah, I'm aware. But no, I think it would still be fun, even if you guys were just able to finish the main story. There's other content obviously in the game. There's loads to do. I'm still playing it. That's what have I been playing? I've still been playing Clair Obscur Expedition 33 because I absolutely adore that game. I want to platinum it. I want to 100% it. I've been playing on Xbox. I will get it for PlayStation as well. It's easily going to be my game of the year, I think, unless something truly astounding happens. I know there's still some big games to come, like Death Stranding 2 and Ghost of Yotei and things like that. But yeah, I'm not like particularly kind of like, I feel pretty strong that this is going to be it. But yeah, I've been playing more of that. I've been going back into things like Blueprints as well every now and then. I'm still reviewing a game I unfortunately can't talk about right now. But on the top of Expedition 33, I got to do one of the coolest things I've ever done. I've reached out and managed to snag an interview with Rich Keeble, who is the voice actor for Monoco, one of the characters that joins your party in Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
Spoiler alert, Harry, come on.
He has a character trailer. That's on you.
I haven't got there yet.
Everyone knows this already. But I did, in fact, manage to have a conversation with him. We talked over WhatsApp, and we had a great time. And I want to thank him now again for being so generous with his time. The article will be up by the time this goes up, I imagine. So yeah, please head over to the site to check that out. Honestly, it is a big moment for me to talk to somebody so close, such a big part of a game that I love so much, so close to when the game came out, as well, within the month of its release is crazy. We were just talking about that before we even started the interview we were like, oh, how long ago was the game came out? Oh, it was on the 24th. Oh, so we're not quite a month out. We probably shouldn't go into like spoiler territory. So that's something else to be sure of, that we don't go into anything like that. It is very much just about him. Addy will find something, I'm sure. But no, otherwise you don't have to worry about that. We very much talk about his experience getting the role of Monoco, finding the voice for the character, working as part of a team, and yeah, his just general opinions and thoughts on the game, his insights into voice acting. And yeah, for the British audience, they will also enjoy this little tidbit, which has come up, I think, in many of the interviews already done, but it also came up in mine. I couldn't help myself. Was that I recognized him, as many people have them, as the guy from the top cashback ads. If anybody remembers those. Yes, with the chap sitting on the fiberglass hippo in the middle of the park, and like the little leprechaun appears on his shoulder, and he says, "This is happening." It's him. That's Rich Keeble for you, everybody.
You've got to find a YouTube link to that so you can put it in the comments so that people
absolutely. We'll make sure to find that. Yeah, that's going to be a link. He also, funny enough, I didn't mention it in the interview. It didn't come up, unfortunately, but I will mention it here, and I will also link it here. He does have a YouTube channel of his own, which I will link. Obviously, he talks about his time doing voice acting and stuff like that. But he also is an avid runner, so he also talks a lot about running. So if you're into you're running marathons and things like that, possibly, or even just fitness, why not check out his channel. So again, thank you so much, Rich, and I hope you guys enjoy the article. But yeah, we'll move on now into the sort of.
That's a hell of a Venn diagram, isn't it? Voice acting, running, like
yeah. He started off as a musician. He thought his career was going to be as a musician. Turned into being a screen actor. He's a screen actor. He's been in television and advertising. He currently is in things like Good Omens, and he's on a Disney Plus show called Rivals, which I think has just been confirmed for a second season. And of course, voice acting. He was the lead in Strange Brigade by Rebellion, another game from Rebellion. Yeah, and Fairbanks or Fairfax was the character's name, if I remember correctly. The sort of British officer. And again, I remember that game. He also did the mocap for it, which is quite cool. So yeah, brilliant game, lots of fun. Definitely recommend checking that one out if you haven't. But yeah, we'll move into the news segment now, and we're actually going to still stick with a little bit of Expedition 33 news because we've got a bit of a theme going on. And to kick it off with, we'll go with this, which is what they announced today, that they are releasing something called the Monolith set, which, if people remember when the game was coming out, they had a collector's edition for the game, which has a very lovely looking statue of the Monolith. It came with, I think, an art book, a lovely steel book, which is a weakness that I have. And I think maybe a couple other goodies as well, alongside then the game and some DLC. The Monolith set, which will be going up for pre-orders from today, well, they will already be open and will be open until June 12th, I believe. I will clarify that if I'm incorrect somewhere on the screen right now, as it were. But yes, you can go and pre-order it in that window on the relative websites. I've got all the information in the article, which I will also link below as well. And it contains all the physical goods that were part of the collector's edition. There is no game included with it. None of the DLC codes are included with it. There's not a digital game or anything like that. It is purely the physical merchandise that got sold as part of the collector's edition, as a way for people who missed out on the first batch, because it was a very small run of the original collector's edition, to actually own some of the physical bits and bobs that people have been asking for. They've obviously they've listened to the fan base, and instead of just releasing a whole bunch of the collector's editions again with the game in tow, I think they've done a very cool thing, a very sort of consumer-friendly thing by offering a also cheaper option, which is just the physical goods, because more than likely the people who are asking for these things have already played the game, whether it's on Game Pass or already have a physical copy of the game, or however else they've got it. I'm a big fan of this. I didn't get a chance to get the collector's edition. I will certainly be trying to pre-order the Monolith edition when I can. Monolith set, sorry, when I can. And yeah, I just thought this was a really cool way to give fans something that otherwise they couldn't necessarily have the first time round. These collector's editions go for a lot of money nowadays. I don't think the Expedition 33 one was too crazy a price. I think it was around the sort of £150 mark with everything included with the game. And this is going to be selling, I think, at $99.99 as far as pounds, dollars. I think it's like 120, 130 or something like that. So a little bit cheaper, which is nice as well. And yeah, I think that's a really cool way. It's not the game itself as far as preservation is concerned, but it's a nice thing to have as far as so many games now we only get digital. And I think a lot of people would just like to have something physical to have, whether it is a box like a steelbook. I am a firm believer that every game should have a steelbook, whether or not it's actually got a physical edition or not. I love steelbooks, and I think they look good on a shelf. But if not that, then an art book is a must, I think, and vinyls and statuettes and all manner of things. I appreciate all of that sort of stuff, and yeah, I think this is very cool of Sandfall Interactive to kind of make this available to the fan base again. It was a thing I thought was going to take off more, because I remember when working at Game, as I know Addy and Mark are both survivors of, they were selling, I believe it was Red Dead Redemption 2. Rockstar had done it so that you could buy the game individually, you could buy it with a collector's edition, and you could also buy the collector's edition without the game. There were 3 separate SKUs for each of the different consoles, as it were. That it came out on, if I remember correctly. Do you remember this, Addy? Is this something that rings a bell for you?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, because wasn't it? There was something about around the availability, wasn't it? Because then you didn't have to, if they sold out of the PS4 version.
That's right.
They only did the collector's edition in the PS4 version, and they sold out the PS4 version. But there was loads of Xbox ones. There's lots of wasted collector's editions. Where if you sold the game separately to the collector's edition, you could buy the game and
you just pair them up, basically. Yeah.
Keeping allocating the precious stock to a format, as I recall, because that makes because the box, the steelbook will be the same as a space for a disc. The disc goes in. It doesn't have to have the PlayStation branding on it, or doesn't have the Xbox branding on it. If it was Switch, where you've got a different box and a cartridge, then that might be different. But if you're not putting that in there anyway, I do remember that.
Yeah,
but it started to that bit more and more, didn't you?
Dragon Age: The Veilguard had it for their launch, but I think it was a specific. Yeah, they had a specific edition that didn't include the game. But I don't know if that was alongside a collector's edition that did have the game. I just remember it was very difficult to get your hands on, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I don't know if they got good or bad feedback on it purely for the fact that they might not have actually had an edition that had the game with it, which is kind of weird.
It does kind of make sense though, because like you said, Harry, with games this is the Game Pass thing, isn't it? If you've brought the game out and it's coming out on Game Pass, if people play it on Game Pass, then they're less likely to buy the copy of the game, aren't they? Because why would they? I mean, the whole point of Game Pass is that you can do that. I mean, if you want to buy the game and you've got the cash and you want to support the devs, then absolutely, you want it in your collection, or it's coming out of Game Pass or something. Yeah, fair enough. But if you want to buy, if you want to play the game but you love the game, and then you want, I'd love to get the collector's edition, but I don't want to buy the game as well, then this is great. And you'll start to see more and more of this because it makes sense.
Exactly. It's a great way for people to, again, as you say, as you mentioned quite rightly, support the devs. The money is going straight to them, and any obviously partnerships they have with the people making the merchandise or the websites they're selling it through. Because Sandfall Interactive are having it handled by, I think, a couple different websites who they've clearly partnered with to get this up and get this going. Yeah. But they'll no doubt be getting a good cut from this. And you as the fan are you've played the game, maybe as you say, through Game Pass, or you already own the game because you bought a physical copy of it, but weren't able to get the collector's edition because there was such a limited run of it. And again, it goes back to things like that as well, where so often I think these collector's editions have very limited runs to create that scarcity and to create that that drive for people to get them. but also I feel like it's also on their side of sort of apprehension of like, we don't want to make too many of these because if we do and then they don't sell, well, now we're sitting on a whole bunch of stock that we now have to, we have to reduce in value because people aren't asking for it. It's not in demand. Like, again, going back to our times working at a place like Game, I can think of a number of times when they really like Rage 2 had a crazy collector's edition, and we had about half a dozen of those sitting in the back of our shop for several months before they got recalled because they were then eventually selling them like wholesale price, basically, like on the websites. And they're just like, it's not selling through the shops, take them off, the shelves, put them in the back, we'll send some around to collect them and just start selling them on the website for like 50% off to get rid of them because they're just taking up space now at this point. They don't want that sort of situation. So I kind of feel like there's a part of me that almost argues like, don't even lead with a collector's edition when you're launching your game. Just launch the game, and then afterwards try something like this where you get into a partnership with somebody who can do this as like a merchandising and be like, okay, let's do a pre-order and see how many we get, because at least at that point you can make a judgment call on the numbers and not worry about like, oh, we made 50,000 but only 20,000 actually got bought. What are we going to do with the other 30?
Yeah, but people are. I thought around the pre-ordering, some people are obnoxious about it. Like the whole attitude towards pre-ordering a game, like yeah, but there's a legitimate stock reason to do it, because then we know the amount of times when I worked at Gear, when I said to people, pre-order it, it guarantees you a copy of the game, and we know how many people want to buy it. Oh, I'm not buying it, I'm not pre-ordering it, you just want my money. Oh, that £2 that we wanted at the time. Yeah. We're raking it in off that, so we know that you're getting a copy, and then they come in, can I have a copy? Sold out. Like, we've only got pre-orders. Like, you should have. Delicious. Looking good, because I love that. But yeah, but like say, collector's edition stuff. Some of the things are cool. One of my biggest regrets was the BioShock collector's edition, the original one, Little Big Daddy.
Yeah.
The Little Big Daddy, notoriously, quite a few of them broke, and I didn't buy it, and it was like a tenner more.
Yeah.
Why didn't I buy it? I can't buy it. I've got one, thankfully, and it wasn't it was a ridiculous rip-off, but like, dude, I wish I'd done that. Like, you just do it, and like that buyer's remorse sort of thing is like, oh, I wish I had done whatever.
No, I get that. I've had that with a lot of them, definitely, where I've just been, especially with things like Final Fantasy VII's Remake and Rebirth had amazing collector's editions. The Cyberpunk one was very cool. Like, there's been so many statues and things like that, but I'm just, oh man, it'd be so cool to have that. And fingers crossed, my intention is to get the monolith set, and then it will go up on here somewhere, along with everything else.
A nice space between the Dishonored mask and what looks like Popeye. I'm sure it's not Popeye. Yeah. There's a guy with a gun, and then
that's Recall. That's the Dishonored mask.
Yeah, what's the guy next to it?
That thing up there.
Oh, no, is it Recall? Oh, I see. It's
yeah. That's Recall.
Statue is Recall. I thought it was another statue next to the person with the gun.
Oh right, yeah. I see what you mean now. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, you're right. Just in there between them, I could shuffle them up a little bit, and it was squeezing nicely just there.
Jimmy thought it was Popeye.
Somewhere there's a bit Popeye statuette that I managed to get hold of. Yeah. But yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool news. And continuing with that sort of thing, I also saw the headline, which didn't get around to actually reporting on today, but Commander's Origins got a physical edition, which is coming to all platforms that the game is out on, which is very cool. So Xbox, PlayStation 5, PC, I think as well. And I was like, wicked. I love that. Like, again, if you can't do it at launch, don't worry. Like, if it's something that you can work out down the line, I think fans would just love to know that it's a possibility, because yeah, most people now I think are accepting the fact that you're going to have to get most of your games now digitally, because it's a way for studios to actually cut a lot of the costs out of making their games, getting them published and that sort of stuff. But again, if we can at least find a way to keep this physical preservation available in some capacity, I think it's really important. And yeah, it opens things up to so many things. I think these studios forget the power of being able to share a game with a friend and create a new fan by the sheer virtue of them playing the game and being like, oh, this is really good. Next one's coming out, I'm going to buy the second one. Like the number of friends I've, who've either introduced me to a game or I've introduced them to a game. My friend introduced me to Gears of War. I remember talking to him about it properly, like, a couple of years back. And I was like, yeah, I never really got into it because I was, like a lot of people at the time, I was like, oh, it's just brown with muscles. I'm not interested. And he goes, no, give it a go. Seriously, play through at least the original trilogy. I go back, try them all out, experience the whole story with Marcus and Dom and Baird and Coltrane and everybody. And like, this is insane. I can't believe I almost lived my life having not experienced this. And that's because, a friend years down the line eventually was like, you should give it a go. You should try it out. And, back in the day, that used to be your friend coming over to your house with a copy of the game, sticking it in and being like, your turn, you try it, And I think we're kind of, with digital, obviously we're getting further away from that. And so it's kind of another thing that we're going to eventually lose, possibly, is this ability to really sort of have those sort of shared experiences with people.
Did you call it brown with muscles?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure that's what I heard.
You go back and look at Gears of War 1. The palette of that game is just different shades of brown.
Okay.
I feel you have offended Addy.
I just never heard it described that way, because I know that the 360 era had a lot of those kind of muted palettes.
Yeah, Fallout 3 was another one. Brilliant game. I absolutely adore Fallout 3, but also incredibly muted and grey. Like it's a wasteland, so I appreciate that. But we've now seen games do wastelands that are also not like just dirt.
The thing about the sharing, you think that this would have evolved by now. Like,
I suppose Nintendo are doing it for the Switch too, aren't they? Like the game sharing thing where you can share codes.
There is that, yeah.
Because I don't know how that works yet, because I've not really looked into it. And I saw it mentioned, but like, for me, what we were talking, I was like, you should be able to like lend somebody a copy of your digital license so they can try the game. Like, because I've got ownership.
Does PlayStation have this? I feel like PlayStation has something like this.
I feel like,
it might be game sharing, possibly.
Well, yeah,
I'm sure it does.
The whole game, isn't it? But like, I still have access to it, and if you game share, like, you can get both. Well, you both get access, can't you? I suppose.
Yeah.
But, like, if you didn't do that for whatever reason, but like, oh, Harry, do you want to try this game? Do you want to try Blades of Fire you could like lend it for 24 hours or something?
Yeah.
Like create that ability to lend it. So V wouldn't have access if she shared Blades of Fire, but you could try it for 24 hours and then it reverts back. And like you think that would be a system, because like in the same way of like lending somebody a copy of your disc, if they're gonna make us go digital and there's an increasing move to that, then you need to think about how do those kind of things that to do that people keep not say banging on about, make it sound like it's disparaging, but like, the ones that people keep going like, this is why we like physical copies, being able to do this and all that sort of stuff. Then you need to carry some of that stuff over, don't you?
Yeah.
I think, especially if the cost of games are going up, if you're going to invest money, you need to be able to try them. Either make demos for every game, or let people borrow digital games.
Yeah, I know Steam has like the Steam family share thing, but again, it's like they have to be set up as part of your Steam family, which means that they're like there's permission sharing and stuff like that, which is a bit weird. So you might not want to do that just to like for friends that you're just like, oh, you want to borrow this game sort of a thing. But you do have a shared library, and it is like how you say, Addy, if you're playing it or they're playing it, then someone else can't play it at the same time. So, but I think the Nintendo one sort of intended for, people can play it all at the same time. But I don't know how the PlayStation one works because I've never used it. But I do think, again, do they have to have access to your account or something like that? And a probably not full access, but I think there is
access to your library, at least, obviously.
Yeah. So like, do you have to log into? Yeah, you need to like log into your friend's account or something like that. Which again is a bit. I wouldn't mind any of my friends doing that, but for younger players and stuff like that, if they're on a shared console and stuff, it's just like accidentally logged into your friend's account and then your sibling or something like that, like can then do stuff. So yeah, you would think there was a better system of doing it, like instead of like sharing accounts, which I think is a little bit weird.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that Steam had it until you brought that up, because I used to share it with my friend, and then I remember being like, I'm going to stop sharing my Steam library with you because I want to play Dark Souls 2 and you've been playing it for the last week. Buy your own copy. Like,
Yeah,
and
I think I liked Addy's idea of like the sort of you you could I like the idea of like a world where like when you buy a copy of the game digitally, so it's in your library, or like when you buy it physically and you put the disc in and you install it, it then registers like, oh, you own this game. Here's a certain number of 24-hour things you can hand out, you can give to gift to your friends as a demo, or like they can play up to they experience what is the equivalent of the demo of the game that is for hypothetical reasons doesn't exist, but it gives them access to play this far in the game from the beginning, so they can experience the opening hour or 5 or whatever of the game, and then it really obviously takes them then to like, hey, if you really enjoyed this, go and pick up the game, and who knows, all manner of incentives. I think are that sort of much more organic way of creating interest in your game, I think, is something that's lost right now.
Forget, we were on the cusp of elements of this with the Xbox One.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because they were gonna have the whole, you could sell on or trade in your digital game and like transfer it to somebody else. And like, so the concept and the idea, the possibility of making it happen is there, because that was part of the original thing of the Xbox One, wasn't it? They wanted they want people to buy into digital because that was the whole, you had to be online all the time, you registered your game, but then you could sell your game on your digital copy once you're done with it. So that was the way around that. Because like, when I buy physical, I don't keep my games. Once I've completed the game's physical, I tend to sell it on. So because I always trade it in. So having that with digital, because once you're done with a digital game,
you're stuck
you
with it.
can play it again. I tend to move on to the next thing. I tend not to go back to games. So could I sell them? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great, because I could sell on the games that get stuck in my account forever and ever and ever. Like, sounds like a good thing to me. So we were almost there, and then obviously there was some very questionable things around it, but
yes,
yeah.
The whole deal was not worth having. It was one of those sort of situations where it's like, oh, this bill they're trying to pass sounds good. Wait a minute, what's this point here? No, actually, no, we don't want that. No, don't let them pass it. Yeah, it's very much that sort of situation.
Very relevant, but the kind of building blocks felt like they were there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a shame that it went the way it did, but at the same time, I understand why, because it was such a dramatic shift from and it was very much a call to like completely ditch physical, which 99% of the audience was not ready to do at that point in time. We'd only just started the idea, like, as much as Phil Spencer talks about like, oh, people were building their digital libraries. It's like, yeah, but no one was really aware of that they were doing that during the 360 and PS3 era. No one clocked that, because the majority of those games were small indies that you'd pick up for a couple of quid here and there. You weren't buying big titles like Call of Duty at full price for it to just be a digital download at that time. Like, for starters, that we didn't have the space on hard drives half the time to store all those sort of things. And then you hit the Xbox One, and then it becomes a much more prevalent thing. And yeah, I think they just asked too much of their audience at that time.
I think, and I know this has been discussed in many spheres in else places, but like Microsoft often like ahead of the thinking, like, and then when they try to implement it, there isn't the infrastructure or the readiness from the audience, or the, like I said, the infrastructure to make it happen the way maybe they envisioned it. So like, all of those, if they try to do those things now, they would. I mean, the TV media, multimedia, whatever else, have a Connect 430 quid, thanks. Thing. Maybe not, but like, hey, you can sell your digital games. I imagine loads of people will be up for that now, because like, that's like a good idea, that create like a marketplace where you can sell them on or trade them in or whatever. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is it. Like, what we're talking about here obviously is preservation across. We've already touched on the physical side, and now we're talking about the digital side. And one of the things that also came out this week was Xbox and Activision's release of their new kind of classics collection, which is it's over 50 titles, I think it is altogether.
It's 50 titles of the retro classics, or over 50 are being added to Game Pass.
Yeah.
But you can, there's like a subscription for this Antstream Arcade. and it
right,
has
yeah.
over 1,300 titles
Wow.
on it. And I think if you can, Game Pass members can pay like a tenner to get access to all of them for a year. But 50 of them have been added into Game Pass. So
yeah. And this is including classics like Pitfall and stuff like that. Like some people, a lot of the older generation, our generation older, will recognize a lot of these titles probably from like either playing them when they were super young or just from reading about them and like the lineage of gaming. But again, it's another fantastic way to preserve a whole library of titles from a bygone era, and not just emulate them in a way that's just sort of, hey, here they are slapped up on your machine as they were. They've gone through and added save mechanics for these games, because this was back when that wasn't a thing for the majority of games. It was simply you just played it through until you turned it off, and then you started from the beginning again. Maybe they had a code, like a code to access like a certain level, but otherwise, yeah, you stop your game, start again. You can save now. There's challenge modes and things like that they've added, and like a whole bunch of it, like things like that, just to kind of, again, quality of life changes. Bringing them more up to the sort of the modern day, without actually overhauling the game and like doing a remake of it or anything like that. So we're seeing some really cool like things happen. Nothing obviously like grand across the industry, as it were. There's no sort of sudden shift in approach to preservation, sadly, right now. But there, as Addy said, people are beating the drum about it, or across the industry from all corners of it, whether it's within the studios and the development side of it, whether it's across journalism or from the community. There are plenty of people out there who are calling for this to keep going, and we're still seeing efforts done here and there, but it's just not quite to the time. It's not quite to the level I think that we feel comfortable knowing that physical games and things like that in particular will always be around, and we'll never lose access to something because it's just no longer available on a platform.
But like something like this arcade thing, this on-stream arcade, it's a really smart thing, isn't it? Because on first impressions for me, because not only does Microsoft have like an access to go, they've got 1,300 titles to keep adding to Game Pass over time. Like, the month that we're running low on night titles this month, let's add another 10 in from the thing. We'll make a deal or something like that. It's like, it's quite smart. But if Microsoft are supporting this organization, this company who are trying to preserve those retro arcade classics, and they're supporting them by putting it into Game Pass, then it supports them do what they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether that's the motivation behind it is another matter, but it does help them keep doing it, doesn't it? So it's quite nice to see, I suppose, from that perspective. Because if that's what Antstream working on, then fair play to them. So bring it on.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm glad to know that there is somebody out there doing that, at the end of the day. I think it's really important. Otherwise we lose these things. And I'm a firm believer in the, inspiration, iteration, innovation method of games being made. You are inspired by what you played, you play it over and over again, and then eventually you come up with your own idea and you want to put it into action. And that's how we see new games, come about. They don't have to be. They're so seldom created out of in a vacuum that they come from somewhere, and they're all based off of each other, and they all play off each other in that respect.
I think Vacuum Cleaning Simulator would have been
beg to differ. You're probably right. But yeah, do we have any sort of other final thoughts or things to bring up on game preservation?
No, I think it's just such a weird one in the fact that as you say, not a huge amount has been done with it over the past sort of. I know Xbox did a lot of their backwards compatibility stuff, which was really good, but then they just sort of stopped very suddenly. So yeah, it's a bit strange that there's not more being done. If you look through some of these 1,300 games on this Antstream service, it's just like, damn, that's a lot of games that probably would just never, if they weren't making an effort to do it, then they would just disappear forever, which is kind of sad. You would not sort of accept that from most media, like films or TV and things like that.
Yeah, and when it does happen, it's an outcry. When
Yeah.
that sort of stuff happens, when we discover that we've lost something, we often hear about it, through the news and things like that. And I think we are in the 21st century now. We know how history works. We know what happens. We lose records, and things like that. We should do our best to try and preserve them. Previous generations did what they could, and we, supposedly should have the technology to do it. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if people are willing.
It's interesting though, because I know that recently, saying V about the backwards compatibility stuff. I know that there's something about that coming again, isn't there? Because isn't the architect of the Xbox Series consoles, they're hiring, or you put out a post saying they're hiring for somebody to work on like something else around backwards compatibility, whether that is taking forward the current libraries to whatever the next Xbox is, or expanding the backwards compatibility. But I feel like that was something that came around recently.
Yeah, there was someone spoke about it. Is it? Yeah, someone spoke about a new role at Microsoft about game preservation.
Yeah.
There was a Windows Central article on it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So it would be good to see more of that, to be honest, because I still can't play Eternal Sonata. I have to hook up my I need to hook up my actual Xbox 360 in order to play it. And I'm like, oh, it's such a good game. Like, I want to play more. Like,
the other thing I was thinking is as well, because that started coming up with DVDs, isn't it? Where the discs are eroding. Like the benefit of physical media is having it, but then actually it's a physical thing that can decay in terms of, and then trying to source or replace that. So if there was this is where there's an argument for digital, but digital's got to be done properly, like with the Antstream. So someone who's like, what's the other company who does it? Is it GOG that?
Yeah, Neo Geo do a lot.
Yeah, they do. Like, if there's somebody who's actively creating like almost like a library, a digital library of all of this stuff, because when the last copy of ET erodes underneath the Atari ET that roads in that landfill, no one's ever going to be able to play it again. But do you know what I mean? It's like, how would you stop that game happening? Because if all of the discs go like that, I'm not saying they will, but
no. But yeah. As we say, efforts are being made. Again, only just yesterday, in fact, yesterday, Lost and Colt obviously announced their new publishing sort of side, which is very cool. Starting off with things like Hobsbawm, I think it was, Immortality.
Immortality, yeah.
And so hopefully we'll start seeing more from there as well. I think they're only doing currently PlayStation and Switch, not Xbox. But that I think might change possibly. I think again, due to an article that Dano from the site did a couple of weeks ago, talking about Xbox and how they approached minimum requirement for physical release and stuff like that. It sounds like there may be a sort of a readdressing of that with certain developers and publishers and things like that. But again, we'll only know once we see the results of that. Yeah.
I do think that whole thing is weird though. The whole like people not knowing that there's the limit, the thingy changed. Like,
just a big load of miscommunication. It sounds lack of.
I think I feel like that some of that is on Microsoft though, right? Because if they've changed their policy, like, and this has come up before again in multiple spheres, that Microsoft not necessarily the best at communicating or like listening to the community, or I mean sometimes they're really good at it and other times they just like, where are they? Because like every time they, like, a publisher or someone announces this game is coming out on everything but Xbox, they don't announce it like that, but like they did. Could you imagine that trailer?
Yeah, available everywhere except Xbox.
Like every time that happens, though, there's so many people, and rightly so, going, "Well, what about Xbox?" And then tagging Phil Spencer and tagging other people, like, "What's going on with Xbox?" And no one ever addresses it. And you think they must see that they're being pinged in these things, right? And like the community, and this is where community managers are really important, because like they should be picking up and having that discourse and going back to the bigwigs and going, there's a thing here. There's a real issue, but why are they not publishing on Xbox? Should we not go talk to them? In the same way they reached out to those devs who've had trouble, not necessarily had trouble, but like, oh, we've not been able to optimize it for Series S. Oh, we'll help you out, and that's a really like, go speak to the good. Why aren't you releasing it on Xbox, dudes? Help us out here. They go, oh, because you need a minimum of 10,000 units. Like, no, we don't. I think, oh, hang on.
Yeah, that changes things.
The light bulb's got on. Like, go tell
Yeah.
people. Tell people that's not the thing anymore. They must have a spreadsheet with all of their contacts on and just send an email. Crying out loud.
Yeah. You can understand, obviously, for smaller indie teams and things like that, if that's just what they know is that it's 10,000 units, they probably are never going to reach out.
Yeah.
So I definitely think there is a communication issue. I think for larger studios and stuff, though, I would question whether or not they've not been told and they're just like, the volume isn't there for necessarily to do a physical release on Xbox, so we're not going to. And then they don't have to address it. So because it's just it was a sort of like a known thing that Microsoft require like a huge minimum order quantity. So it's just like, oh, if we don't address it and Microsoft don't address it, then we can just pretend it's not happening, and no one has to talk about it. But for little indie studios, you can understand why it's like they're like, oh, they've got a minimum order quantity. We're not going to reach out about that to see how it works. But it's good that they've now clarified. It would be interesting to see if anything changes now that they've clarified. So I will be waiting to see if, obviously, the Lost in Cult, Daniel got a quote from them saying that, they've not got Xbox yet. They're not saying never, but there's no necessarily commitment to then start supporting Xbox in the future. But they also didn't know that it had changed and it was too late in development. So it would be interesting to see if things like that do change, or if it's just like, oh, we didn't know, we now do know, but also actually we don't care. Like, to sort of not actually singling out like Lost in College just because it's a thing we were looking at, but it would be interesting to see if some of the like limited run games and stuff like that, if they actually start doing things for Xbox, or they're just like, do you know what? Yeah, we're aware there's no minimum order quantity, but we don't think that this is financially viable for the volume, or just actually we just don't really care about Xbox players. So we've ran out of a good excuse, but now we're just like, fuck them. Like,
there we are. I'm sure they'll put it more eloquently in their post online, but otherwise, that'll be the general consensus.
Yeah.
Right. It is turning into a bit of a longer one, this episode, so we will go into our last segment here, which normally would be what we are looking forward to. But I think most of us are either busy playing games that are already out and enjoying a spot of our own gaming, as I know Addy is, and otherwise we're then playing games that we can't talk about, which is never fun, sadly. But obviously,
he's got to talk about it.
Yeah,
we're having a good time. We just can't tell you guys about it. Like,
exactly. We are having a great time, but we can't share that good time with you just yet. But soon we will. And obviously, always check back to the site, obviously, to see all the new reviews and news and everything else we're covering.
I'm not doing that. I'm not playing anything new.
Yeah, no. So instead, we thought for this little segment, quickly, we do some kind of fun predictions, since we are about to. Well, we have entered showcase season. Today we had the Skulls, Warhammer Skulls sort of showcase, as well as the 6-1 indie showcase that happened earlier a few hours ago. And we're going to June soon, and at the end of May we've got a bunch as well coming up. We've got the Cerebral Puzzle showcase, which is a week-long showcase with over 300 puzzling-based games. Addy's thrilled at the prospect of a week-long event.
Addy loves covering showcases. It's his favorite thing to do. Like,
can you imagine the WordPress article? Can you imagine WordPress trying to do that? Like, oh my god!
So, how many games? And of course, these are what we call the smaller showcases. These aren't even the big wigs. This isn't even Summer Games Fest. This isn't even Xbox's showcase. This isn't even the Outer Worlds 2 showcase that's tied to the Xbox showcase. But even Nintendo said they're coming back. Because of course the Switch 2 will be with us shortly as well. So as you can imagine, June is going to be super busy. So we've got a lot to look forward to. But at the same time, we're going to be super busy with stuff, and it's going to be tough to find time to play games. So we thought we'd do a couple of fun, short, quick predictions, see how right or wrong we are in the coming weeks, and yeah, we'll finish it there. So what do we want to do? What do we want? Do we want to just do some like spicy ones? You know, what are people feeling? Has anyone got one they want to kind of start this whole thing off with?
I don't have any predictions at the moment, to be fair,
What would you like to
because.
see?
Hmm?
What would you like
Well,
to see?
the showcase that I look forward to the most every year is the Day of the Devs showcase. That's my favorite one. So
Oh, great
yeah,
showcase. Yeah.
that's
They've
the
always
one.
got
That's
good
the one
stuff.
that I'm looking forward to the most. I think Summer Games Fest is good fun. And it'll be interesting to see what their one more thing is at the end of the opening night live. But I always mostly look forward to Day of the Devs. There's too many games that have come out this year, so I would be surprised if we get more things announced for at any point this year. And then I assume as as they were planning all of these trailers and stuff like that, then obviously Rockstar were like, GTA is actually in 2026, and just a collective like scream from all of these devs being like, fuck, change the release date on this trailer. Like,
Except for
so
one, obviously.
Everything is going to be like no specific date now because they haven't figured out when. It's just going to be coming 2025.
Yeah.
2026 later, after GTA 6, December probably. Who knows? Like
Again,
Listen, this game coming.
I'll link it. I'll try and find the post if I can, and I'll link it in the, because I don't think I did it last time, but I do just still love the fact that Devolver Digital were the only one to then tweet it directly to Rockstar being like, oh, May 26, 2026. See you there. It's just like, yeah, you can't escape. We're on to you. I love it. Devolver Digital, brilliant. Okay, well, look, I know, I don't know what my exact prediction is, but I'm excited to see if Rare have anything at the Xbox showcase this year. I know everyone obviously just goes like, oh, well, Rare have only got Sea of Thieves surely. And it's like, well, yeah, there's no doubt going to be maybe something to do with Sea of Thieves. But I do think that now would be the time for Rare to possibly show Everwild again, which we know obviously they've been working on. It had kind of went through some trials and tribulations and things like
I
that.
keep forgetting this game exists.
Oh yeah,
it looks great if I keep forgetting
it exists. Everyone does. And they bring it up like in a random Christmas card. Everyone kind of goes, holy shit, it still exists. But yeah, so I think that we might see something from, I don't know if it's going to be Everwild exactly, but I do think we'll see something from them, purely because also it is, as I've said before, it is the 40th anniversary of that studio. They need to do something for their 40th anniversary, even if it's just we've done like, here's a special version of like, I don't know, we've done a remaster of another game or something like that from their catalog. Obviously, because you've already got the Rare Replay, which has so much of their stuff already on it, and it's so good. It is still arguably, from my point of view, the best value for money you can buy in gaming. There's pretty much all of Rare's back catalog since the 360, minus the Kinect stuff, all in one game, and it was like sold originally even at like £20. It was absurd.
It's in Game Pass, isn't it?
The whole It is without a doubt.
Collections on Game Pass. Yeah,
it is so good.
Like fair play. That's just excellent.
Yeah. It's ridiculously good, and so yeah, I if anything, it's a hope more than anything else. They deserve to have a full blown parade, frankly, as far as I'm concerned. Rare do. They are one of the best there are. They have been for a very long time. Whether or not you've always liked their games or not, I haven't. I didn't like the Kinect Sports shit they did, but hey, that's what they wanted to do at the time, and credit to them for trying it. At the end of the day, now of course they've got their baby Sea of Thieves. Hopefully, Everwild is a thing that's going to happen. But whatever they work on next, I'm excited to hear about it, and that's, I guess, my kind of half-hearted prediction of that. My actual prediction I'll put forward is I don't think we still see Silksong. My prediction is that it doesn't show up at Summer Games Fest.
Silksong's a myth. Silksong does not exist.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think we do. I don't think we hear about it, and I think it comes up either later on, independently of everything, at their own time, or it's the Game Awards.
I don't think Silksong ever existed, and it's a collective hysteria we've all created. Someone somewhere online went, "This is a sequel," and we're like, "Yeah, it's coming, isn't it? It's coming is the sequel." And it's like we're all in some sort of like lunatic asylum, like just
everyone's straight just rocking backwards and forwards.
like Nurse Ratchet comes in, like, yeah, Silk Song today. Yeah, Silk Song today. Take your meds and forget about it. And then next day, goes, Silk Song today.
The revelation that Hollow Knight was actually just all of us, just like on the floor looking at like little bugs just crawling on the floor. We're like, Hollow Knight's just like poking.
It's like
them.
that episode of Community, just like it's all a collective delusion. Like, Greedale never existed. Just
Didn't
bottle
happen.
episode. Like, yeah.
Didn't happen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They might show it if Nintendo are back because the last thing that we saw of it was at a Nintendo showcase in the most random fashion. Just drop a 3-second clip of Silk Song just in the middle.
I'm going to put it out there across any of these showcase. If there's any of that bollocks in any of them, I will be calling them out because it's a nonsense.
Yeah,
Hey, we've got a billion games.
Yeah.
You can get 1 second of each of them. I have to keep track of that. I'm not giving you a list. Your game's not getting featured in my article. Is basically what's going to happen if you do that.
Yeah.
I think montages should be used as a wrap-up feature only.
I don't mind a montage if it's a little longer that you can see some of the game. That 3 second of Silk Song gives you nothing apart from
because it doesn't exist. We've established they can only show 3 seconds because it's the only 3 seconds they've got. Like,
Yeah, it was very weird. It
like
was weird how during that montage there was just a second where they just showed like a blank screen. It was just like there was just nothing there. And
it
everyone
said
went,
Silk Song underneath it. Yeah. Like, I wonder if Nintendo are going to be there. I assume they'll be talking more about like
Switch,
Pokemon's EA, which will be coming out later on this year. But also maybe this is when they talk about there's got to be a new Mario game coming for the Switch too at some point. So
well, hold on. They probably won't want to mention that right now unless it's a 2D Mario because of course they've got Donkey Kong, and they'll want people to be excited for Donkey Kong as their first like 3D platformer type game. I don't think mentioning Mario before the Donkey Kong Bonanza game is out is sensible.
I just don't know how much Nintendo necessarily think about that sort of thing because they probably know people are going to buy both. Like,
no, they do. You're right. People will buy both, but they also do think about that because we know for a fact that Nintendo have sat on games for years. They just like it's finished. They just don't. They're like, not now. It's not the right time.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck do you mean? You could just put it out now and still make a lot of money. They're like, yeah, we know, but we're not going to. They're literally the only platform that does that. So I kind of feel like it is the sort of thing I could expect from them of being like, sure, maybe we'll make it.
Mario Sunshine 2's been there all these years, and they've not released it. The bastards.
I can see them doing like a fun tease. Like if they could think of a way to do like, how do we tease the next mechanic, like Cappy? Like if they could think of like how to tease the next Cappy mechanic and just have like a teaser like that at the end of their showcase or whatever they end up doing, I think that could work because then that's enough people to go like, oh, Mario, it's coming, but not enough for you to be like, oh, I'm just going to wait for the next Mario game because that's coming out in like 3 or 4 months' time, as opposed to like Donkey Kong Bonanza's the 3D platformer. Then that will happen later.
So, just to clarify, Nintendo are back in the showcase that's coming up. It's Gamescom.
Yeah, what?
Oh, so August.
It's Gamescom in August.
Oh, Gamescom is it? Oh,
yeah,
apologies.
They were coming back because they haven't done shows. They've just been doing the direct.
That's it. That's why I thought it was like a big deal. It was like, oh, Gamescom makes a lot more sense because everything's out then.
Gamescom, so the Switch 2 will be out.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Bonanza will be out. So
that
they could do. It makes sense to me because
that's
like
perfect.
You've released your big game, then like what's next? Like that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good prediction for Gamescom in that case. That makes perfect sense that we'll hear about Mario there. Yeah. What do we think? Do we think we hear? Obviously, we've had a couple of things floating around on the internet, like things like NetherRealm's next game. It not being a Mortal Kombat and possibly being like another Injustice. Do we think we hear from something like NetherRealm, or do we hear from IO Interactive about the James Bond game? Do we hear about there's still so many titles that we know are in development at so many different studios.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance we might hear from IO Interactive because obviously, again, that was in the montage of things for the Hitman. They were talking about Hitman and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
For the Switch 2. So again, it's fresh in people's minds. It's perfect time to sort of bring it up. I wonder if we'll get a release date for Fable. Who knows?
Maybe. That's kind of the one I'm the showcase I'm looking forward to most because I want to see what they've got is the Xbox One because they've had such a good year this year that they're really kind of finding their groove, as it were, and they're really kind of firing all cylinders in terms of the releases and stuff, and good releases as well. It's not like they're just getting releases out and they're kind of tanked. They're good.
Yeah.
So like, can they keep the momentum going? What comes next? Is this period of 6 months a bit of a fluke in terms of we've nailed the cadence type stuff of the game releasing, or have they nailed the follow? Like, are they sitting on some games like the Oblivion remaster? They can just drop like when I reckon there's a Fallout 3 remaster coming when Series 2 drops, perhaps because they get me on the front. Do you know what I mean? Like, are they going to have more games? Because I'm curious to see. So I think like a Fable release date makes it, especially if GTA is next year. You want to get that clear, don't you? So you want to get it out. So I'm curious if what that looks like. In terms of what I want to see, I would love to see something from Judas.
Judas, yeah. Ken Levine's game,
Like it just like you're worried that it's just like gonna not make it because you just don't hear about it for ages and ages.
And the one I want to see, which is like what Ken Levine used to make, is from In Exile with Clockwork Revolution.
Oh god, I can't wait for that game.
Yeah,
Absolutely want to see
that's
more about
another one.
Yeah.
But the wild card thing that I want to see is BioShock 4 or whatever it's called. Because we know Cloud Chamber are working on it, or supposedly are, but we don't know anything about it. So is it time that we see some more of it, or what have you?
I wonder if just more studios are changing strategy because we have had these things where you show a small teaser trailer so far beyond when it's ready, and then it takes years before things come out, and then people sort of forget about it or they lose their hype and stuff like that about it. I mean, I want to see more from the new Jurassic Park game, the survival horror one, and not just because I spent all day yesterday afternoon listening to a YouTube video about dinosaur horror, and now I keep looking into my hallway because I think I'm going to be attacked by a velociraptor at any moment. But like, I want to see that. It looks super cool, and it's good for them to. I think it's exciting that they're actually making like a Jurassic Park horror game. It's like ripe for it, and that they've not done it for whatever 30 years. Wild. So I'd like to see some more of that and potentially get a release date on it.
There we go. I think that's going to be the end of this week's episode then. So again, thank you two for joining me for our weekly news podcast. And thank you all for listening and watching. We appreciate it. And again, as I said at the top of this, you can find all of our the articles we've mentioned, things like that, over on the website. We'll have all our socials and all of our links below in the description. Please, if you enjoyed this episode, leave a like. If you have any feedback for us or any comments or questions, leave it in the comment section below. And again, consider subscribing for more. But yeah, if that's everything, I think it is. Then take care, everybody. Look after yourselves, look after each other, play some great games, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.